Grab a men's 3X or bigger t-shirt and some fabric scissors, and let's get crafternoonie. Today I'm going to show you how to make this ridiculous oversized t-shirt into this. How dare you show up on my For You page looking so good, shredded bodysuit. First, you're going to take a men's size 3X or bigger shirt. I got this at Walmart and it's also very stretchy, which helps. Fold your shirt in half and make sure that all of the seams line up perfectly. Take your time with this part. It will make sure that your cuts are symmetrical. You'll cut off that neck just below the collar. And then flip it towards you so that the sleeve is facing you and cut off the sleeve on the inside of that seam, leaving enough space at the shoulder so that that shoulder seam won't come apart when you pull it. About 2 inches down from the armpit, cut at an upward angle. An inch or two below that, cut at a downwards motion and then around towards the middle, creating this teardrop shape that you will then cut off. An inch or two below that, cut at a downwards motion towards the bottom center of the garment. Careful not to cut through that bottom hem and not to cut through the center of the garment. You want to keep the bottom hem seam intact, so sometimes when I get about here or so, I'll start at the bottom hem seam and start to cut along to make sure that I'm keeping all of the bottom seams intact. And then I'll meet somewhere towards the middle. If you unfold your piece, it should look something like this. Hopefully you can see the bodysuit starting to come together. One side will be the bodysuit and the other side will just be straps. Since both sides are the same, I'm going to use the side facing us for straps. Cut off the bottom hem and then cut it in the middle. Moving to the next section, cut straight across the top, separating this part from the rest of the garment, and then cut straight across the bottom, removing this bottom triangle that's hanging down. You'll then cut this part right in the middle. You should be left with this awkwardly shaped piece on top. You'll fold it in half, making sure your seams line up. Like you did before, cut straight across the top of that next section. Once you've separated these two sections, find the part that's folded in half at the middle and cut that off. Now you have two straps that will wrap around your neck. I like to cut them in half so that my straps are slimmer. We'll trim off the part that's hanging down on that last strap, cut that in the middle, and that's pretty much it for the bodysuit part. You might be done here. If you wanted to add the braids, fold everything in half again, making sure all your seams and straps line up perfectly. Now you'll cut wider at the top and more narrow as you get towards the bottom. Remember that the wider you cut, the more skin is going to peek out, and it's folded in half. So when you unfold it, it will already be twice as wide. When you get to where you'd like your braid to end, make a tiny little snip. For the side braids, pinch about an inch at the waist and then fold it in half where the shoulder seam is. Then take that fold and carry it all the way down, leaving enough room for your hoo-ha. You're just going to make little snips all the way down to kind of mark your spaces so they're evenly spaced out. Notice how I'm using my thumb to mark those spaces as I go. After I unfold it, I can slide the blade into that little hole and extend that slice however much I'd like to. Notice how here I'm making sure my blade slides through both sides, so I'm cutting both sides evenly as I extend it. Careful not to get too close to the edge. Where the straps are, you may want to extend out a little more, but remember, that's going to show a little more skin on the side. Once I get to the middle, I like to start at the bottom towards the hip, making sure the bottom lines are nice and even. This is going to look really professional when you do your weave. Starting at those center slices that you made, find the last tiny little hole and then the last loop that's above it. Make a snip right in the middle, so now you have two tabs that you can finish your weave off with. Now flip it around to the neckline. With the front of the bodysuit facing me, I'm reaching my fingers underneath, grabbing the second loop, and then holding a space with my thumb for my fingers to reach through, grabbing the third loop, pulling it through the second, letting go of the second, creating the space with my thumb, and then my left hand is now going to hold the bodysuit in place so that I can grab the next loop, pulling it through, always letting go of the one on my thumb as I grab the next loop. Notice how my left hand feeds the next loop to my right hand as I go through loop by loop by loop until I get to the last loop and the 2 tabs that I had created earlier. Thread your 2 tabs through that last loop and then under and through that tiny little hole that you created earlier. When you do that, you'll see 2 holes on either side of where the strings are. Take your tabs and push them through each of those 2 holes. That's where my fingers are, one through one side and one through the other side. Now your strings will be on the inside of the bodysuit. Pull on those strings. You'll cross them over each other and then push one end through 2 times. That's once, that's twice, and give it a good pull. Cross them over each other, push the ends through once, and then twice, and give it a good pull. Now your knot will be hidden on the inside of the bodysuit. Hand reaches under the first hip loop to grab the second one, pulls it under the first one, holding it on your thumb, creating a space for your fingers to reach through, grabbing that next loop, pulling it through the one on your thumb, letting go of the one on your thumb as you hold the new one on your thumb. Always reaching your fingers through the hole, pulling it through that one that's held on your thumb. As you let go of the one on your thumb, you'll hold the new one on your thumb, all the way down until you get to that shoulder seam. Then you'll pull those 2 straps that you made earlier through that last loop. Give it a nice pull. Find the shoulder seam. You'll fold it in thirds and then wrap it around your finger and make a little knot, pulling the ends through. Now it's nice and secure. If your t-shirt had side seams like mine did, you'll go ahead on the straps and find any of the side seams, fold it in thirds, wrap it around your fingers, push the ends through, make a little knot, just to really secure all those straps. You won't have to worry about them popping on you. Same thing this side. Reach your hand underneath that first hip loop, grab the second one. As you pull it through, create a space with your thumb for your fingers to reach through. Grabbing the next loop, you'll pull it through the one on your thumb, letting go of the one on your thumb, and then holding that new one on your thumb, creating a space for your fingers to reach through, grabbing the next loop, pulling it through, letting go of the old one and holding the new one, all the way down till you get to that shoulder seam. You'll pull the 2 ends through that last loop, fold the shoulder seam in thirds, create your little knot. Repeat that on any seams that might be on this side. Folding in thirds, wrapping around your finger, and then just pushing that end through. And that's it. I know this one is challenging. It was difficult, but it's very much worth it. You too can make your multi-wear bodysuit. I'll do another video showing all the different ways that you can wear this.